Morning, everyone. Just hi from Vikram Singh. We'll be starting in no time. But just to give you a quick introduction before we get things started, my name is Vikram Singh. I am the Senior Director for Cyber Marketing for North America at Allot. And joining me today, we have two esteemed guests. First, we have Stephen Shaw, who's the Managing Director for Coleman Parks, a leading research company based out of UK, and our Vice President of Product for cybersecurity on health. And in this session today, we'll be talking about a very interesting topic, of course, converged security for CSPs. And we will go through, first and foremost, like an onion, unraveling what convergence is. What are some of the leading CSPs in the world are doing with regards to converged security? What problems converged security is solving? Where is the opportunity for you? And talking about real world case studies, some examples from the market, and some interesting data points as well. So to give you a well-rounded discussion, it's a elaborate topic. And today we want to introduce you to this concept and also share with you few insights which are takeaways, which you can put into work right after this webinar. So we want to make it as practical as possible as well. So overall, we'll start with a quick introduction about convergence. Then we will have a short video interview that I will share that I had with the ex-CSO of AT&T, Ed Amoroso. Ed is a leader in his space, and I did an hour discussion with him. So I've picked up a few key bites, which I think would add value to our discussion today. And then we'll have a very interesting market study conducted by Coleman Parks with regards to convergence for CSP. And finally, we'll have Angel coming in and talking about Allot's convergence-ready product suite, how actually we can really deploy and enable it today. And during this conversation, feel free to put your questions or thoughts or comments. And towards the end, we will address those questions as well. So let's get started. On the time, first and foremost, before I even talk about convergence, what challenges convergence is solving, specifically convergence and security, what it is. Because if you look at the overall ecosystem today, if you look at telcos, which have both fixed, mobile, and IoT offering, more often than not, all of them in each channels have some kind of a security solution. You'll have one product for them, wireless customers, one for fixed, and one maybe even for IoT. Now, from a customer standpoint, this becomes very complicated. And these are some of the key challenges that we are facing in the industry. First, the entire app ecosystem for different security solutions coming from the telco is complex. And sometimes these our customers, they're going to third party like Best Buys of the world to procure, get some endpoint security directly from them. And then they're trying to integrate, or they're purchasing routers by themselves, which comes with some security. So either they're going away from the telco and doing that on their own, which is, again, not a great experience. Or even if they're leveraging the telco, or in this case, it's very challenging because they're different applications. Because the security as an industry has really matured. There's not just one app, there are multiple services available with regards to security. So it's very complicated today. Second, from a telco standpoint, it's very difficult to deploy, update, and support these different applications. Why? Because some of them are endpoints and some of them are just app-based. So CSPs, your core value is your network. You're not experts, or it's not in your interest to spend hours helping customers just to deploy and essentially provision and make it usable. It takes so much of your time and effort and very expensive support hours to make that happen. And even then, the adoption is not that great because overall, the whole user experience is lacking. It's poor because as a customer, if I be in the shoes of the end user, I have a different app for my fixed, different from my mobile phone. They don't talk to each other. If I'm interested in knowing how the security is doing, whether it's for my home use or for my small business, there's no unified reporting. I have to go to different applications, like paying different bills or looking at different reports. It's not user-friendly. And it becomes so much of a barrier because it's an experience full of friction that people are not using it. And lastly, the whole space is very fragmented. And if user will need to set some permissions, for example, a use case I'll share, a common use case is content filtering. Like if I want my kids not to visit certain websites, I need to create a filter, which most of these security solutions tend to provide. I have to go to different applications for different medias. So which is again a poor experience. And what this translates to overall, even though when we talk about security is very important, gone are the days we just talk about the network, the coverage, security is key. Ultimately, all of these challenges lead to an undifferentiated security offering to your customers. They can perhaps get the same security from a big box store or going online or a third party or from a different telco. And secondly, very low adoption. If you look at industry average, most of the security services from a telco have a low single-digit adoption. It has a very high support cost. You're investing in your dollars supporting customers on third-party applications, and overall poor monetization. So even though you're offering it, it's not that profitable. So it's bad for customers and challenging for the CSPs. So convergence addresses the specific challenges that we just talked about. In a very simple way, if you have to understand, convergence is when all your security offerings, whether fixed, mobile, IoT, etc., all are offered to the customer as a single pane of glass, meaning customers just see the application no matter which network they are on, whether fixed or mobile or IoT, they get the same experience. Now, underlying, there could be different products altogether. You can have a very different product for fixed and very different for mobile because that's the need. That's the selection you have made. But to the end user, it's seamless. There is one unified management, one reporting, one experience, and simple support. And to the end user, they get all the comprehensive services from you. Now, security also has a higher attach rate, and it also helps reduce churn. That's a known fact, and we have enough data that we could share with you if you're interested. At the same time, you get a better experience. And for the telco, the CSP, they get very high adoption, reduction in churn, and boost not just the ARPU, but overall ARPA, basically the entire account. You can own the entire account when it comes to security needs. The diagram on the right essentially explains from a very high level what a converged experience could potentially look like. We are going to go through in much more detail in Anhel's section shortly. Now, this takes us to a next question, because you are leaders in your own space, and some of you may be in from marketing, some of you might be in product, or some of you will be in a leadership position. Wherever you are, then moving forward or trying to discover whether convergence or this approach is right fit for you is not something you can do in silo. You have to speak to different stakeholders in your organization. So based on our experience speaking to the leaders in the industry and deploying these services, we've come across what are the key stakeholders' requirement. And this is something which might help you to navigate through in your own organization. First and foremost being product people. Product people, all they care about convergence primarily is that unified experience. They don't want fragmentation in the product. They want to create that seamless layer for the end user. From an IT standpoint, your IT is constantly challenged. They have multiple products, multiple IT stacks to support, from integrating it with backend like the billing engine, the Amdocs SKUs that we all use in the telco world, or some other format of, let's say, integrating with like dashboards and data lakes. The more products, separate products we add, the complexity it garners. Now, IT, if there's anybody from the technical side, they would love to know, we have a microservices-based roadmap or structure. How can we leverage that? All of that makes convergence a much, much more efficient way of doing integrations, because you do it once, and then you simply capitalize on all the different nodes. More on that later. From an operations standpoint, operations is key, whether it's about provisioning security, supporting security, or answering troubleshooting. You don't want to really get into the weeds of it. You want a system that is automated, such that customers don't need to call you unnecessarily. It's easy to deploy, it's easy to provision. That's what operations want. These are the key requirements which convergence solves in this case. From your sales and marketing folks, they want to capitalize on revenue. So all the options that you see, fixed, wireless, home security, consumer IoT, basically you're saying you own the entire account. For each and every security need that the customer has, they approach you. and you can completely own that space. And the biggest beneficiaries are customers, because from one telco, they can get all the services, all security needs, and it's simple, easy to use. They have higher buying power because they can bundle, and it's actually good for the telco because they might give them some small discount for owning the entire account, but overall, it's more profitable for the telco. And lastly, better support, self-service. These are the key stakeholders for evaluating whether convergence is the right fit for you and what value you bring to each and every key stakeholder in this space. Now, enough of that, but I also want to give you a real-world case study, a challenge that we faced early on when a customer came to us. So without taking any names, specifically, you see this customer had a fixed product. They were using Plume Guard, and the customers were essentially logging into the Plume app to experience, okay, what security is doing, how it is protecting me. And it was primarily for fixed customers, and the pricing was free mostly, and there was a paid tier that they were working towards. Now, what they wanted to do was they want to launch a product on the wireless side. They had an existing endpoint which had very low adoption, and they were looking for a network native solution from a lot. But before they move forward, they said very clearly that we just don't want to create multiple products and confuse our customers, because our goal is that there's a huge overlap between wireless and fixed customers. We want to give them a single experience, no matter which product they're using. It should look, feel, work, operate, and support as one. And that is where we supported that with a converged solution. So our offering to the table was purely wireless, but because of our converged approach, we are able to integrate on the fixed side. Now, from that standpoint, the product offered is network secure from a lot and potentially Plume Guard from, let's say, this customer. The orchestration layer, which bring all these two different apps together, which Anil will talk more deeply in his section, was ASM, which is Allot Secure Manager. This is the orchestration layer. We simplified, and it can work with not just our own products, which are pre-configured to be convergent or converged. It can also work with third-party endpoints or third-party products. So it's truly flexible. You are in the driver's seat. You're not logged into a specific ecosystem of one vendor. It empowers you to be more effective, efficient, and agile. And ultimately, the experience layer was the CSP's mobile application, because the CSP wanted that to be one-stop shop for all needs for the customer. And this solution, therefore, could now be converted and deployed from a convergence standpoint. That's one example. Now, enough about that. I also want to share a few experts from the interview I conducted, as I mentioned in the opening, with the CSO of Ed, of AT&T. He was with AT&T for 17 years, and now he has his own company named Tag Cyber. And Tag Cyber is the leader in its space of providing consulting services to some leading companies in the world. So we have a 1-hour interview with him. Today, I just want to capture some snippets. There are two sections. First is going to be what factors are driving fixed mobile convergence. And the second one, the roadmap for security solutions for CSP from a convergence standpoint. So let me start by first sharing the section, which is about a couple of minutes. Your thoughts on converged security or cybersecurity solutions for telco in general. Where do you see the market going for that from the perspective of convergence per se, but in general, how are these two disparate systems of having a security product only fixed and mobile and the eventuality of convergence? Where do you see this going?
I mean, it depends on the customer, right? Like the business customers, then families and individuals. So there's a lot that's in common there, but there's some differences, right? Businesses will be looking for things that are a little bit more intense than say family, and have different threat. Like businesses will use words like zero trust.
Yeah.
And they, like to have the ability to have my devices in some sense not implicitly trusted because they sit on the same VLAN in some building somewhere as say a server app. The sort of ubiquity, flexibility, and non-location specificity,
Yes.
ability is what enables zero trust. I mean, you hear that term all the time in a business context. But as we get down to maybe smaller businesses and families, they're not, you're not going to hear a mom and dad talk about zero trust. That's ridiculous. That's not something they would be talking about. They'd be more interested in the kinds of things that you talked about, like, can I partner with service provider to provide, safe, secure, reliable internet service for the family? And if you think about that, the service provider is the glue that ties together all these different disparate cloud services, SaaS services. Even, could be some legacy stuff, like if mom works for a large company, and she's using VPN or ZTNA, zero trust network access, to get into the company, then her devices and her connectivity begin with the service provider, could be the local ISP. And she's got the same sort of, let's say, ecosystem for family, for work. It's all jumbled. One of the vestiges of the pandemic is this work from home ethos that we're all so used to. So you really do need flexible, tunable, programmable protections, because mom needs to get to work. Let's say mom is a reporter and she writes and covers, I don't know, maybe she covers criminal trials or something. And she has to get to maybe some weird websites to do that.
Yeah.
She might be reviewing, she can't have URL filtering for that, but she's got children that do. That has to be something that can be administered and programmable. So the ISP turns out to be, or CSP turns out to be a really good place to do that. And I know, I'm preaching to the choir. That's what a lot is so good at. You guys provide the platforms for doing that. But you can see the range of different possibilities, from businesses talking about these things like zero trust to mom worrying about protecting the kids.
Yeah.
There's a whole spectrum there.
Yes.
And if we had 2 hours, we could list out 100 threats that we were from identity to you name it, all these different things that are some at minimum a nuisance, at maximum just terrifying. Could ruin people's lives. So I think that the service provider needs to play a role. I like the idea that software-defined infrastructure allows them to extend services to customers. And I would imagine that with convergence, there'll be a lot of product creativity around how you can offer a bundle to a family, to a small business, and they're going to buy. They're going to find that to be a very compelling service offer to complement the things they may be doing with apps or in the cloud, or with, if you have SaaS with, let's say, use Microsoft for your emails, many people do. Well, you have security protections if you buy from Microsoft, passwords, probably using two-factor and things like that. So it becomes a nice ecosystem, but the service provider plays an important role, and I think a growing role with the kind of smart infrastructure that we have in place today.
All right. That was about the overall roadmap. And there's another short video I would like to play, which talks about driving the fixed, what are the drivers, which are, just a moment, here we go. Like fixed mobile convergence is a hot topic with telco. Recently, it has also seen some resurgence. But according to you, what factors are driving convergence as a priority for the telecom operators?
I'm glad you worded it that way, because it's not new, right? This has been a topic that's been part of the telecom landscape forever. I wish I had a nickel for every time we talked about convergence, and always struggled. I think part of the problem was that there was such dramatic differences between fixed and mobile infrastructure that I think it was almost impossible in the early days. But now that most of the infrastructure is software defined, I think you can do it. And I think that there's this resurgence, again, for obvious reasons. It depends who you talk to. You talk to the finance team, it's all about saving costs.
Yes.
That's their job, to make sure that always driving down costs, that you can offer more competitive rates. So that's obviously right. Product and service teams see it as an opportunity to put together new types of bundles, which can be quite attractive, particularly to families, small businesses, and so on. They love that kind of thing. and that's, it's an opportunity to expand the revenue. For people like you and I, we think about security, right?
Yes.
So we think about convergence. We're immediately going to infrastructure questions. By the way, that's where a lot does in this job, where you guys provide a lot of the tools and platform support that allow convergence at the security level. But that word, that fixed mobile convergence, there's so many different dimensions that, we could go on and on. We can talk about billing.
Yes. Yeah.
Times that has come up over the last 20 to 30 years. Sometimes, Vic, when I was still working in telecom, I get on an airplane and somebody would see that I had like an AT&T logo on my thing. They complain about their bill. They say, "Can you fix my bill? Why do I have my bills?" Cybersecurity, I can't fix your bill. But so this is not a new topic. But I believe now that, like I said, now that the infrastructure is more advanced, everything's software, everything's more converged in terms of the technologies used. I think there's actually a shot that you can do this convergence effectively. So that's good news.
All right. So I'll just highlight one quick point from what I just mentioned. So there was a very interesting point that he made that convergence has value to different stakeholders. He even talked about like from someone who's looking at the books and from finance perspective, convergence is going to help save costs. From sales folks, they can bundle and they look for new opportunities of monetizing this. And for customers, is a good value based on how they want to use. I think that's just an echo to what we discussed earlier from different stakeholder standpoint. We'll be happy to share the entire interview that I did with Ed. To anyone who's interested, we can share with you later on after the webinar. Now, before I wrap up my section and we move forward, I just want to emphasize, because convergence is not a topic we will completely unravel in the short webinar today, but the key takeaways from a value proposition standpoint is convergence or converged security helps you to be future-proof, because no matter how you look at it, security is a core offering. Because other than your core mobility offerings or other network services, security is something which is applicable to anyone and everyone, whether they're a teenager customer or my grandmother or a business customer, or let's say just any mass customer who has a connected device needs security. And security is a differentiator in many, many ways if done well. So by deploying this approach, you're future-proofing yourself, you're flexible to pick and choose the right partners, and you maintain end-to-end control. Secondly, it simplifies deployment. It makes it very easy for you to deploy, manage, and keeps up to date without taking a huge cost of supporting it, because it simplifies. Third, it's a unified product experience. It talks about your brand, your network, and your unique message to the customer. It's not those third-party apps which you open and clearly they don't look like each other, they don't support each other. And that drives service differentiation in your market and across any services that you sell, which translates to improvement in not just ARPU, but ARPA. You're able to extract more revenue from the account, from that specific address, if that's how you measure it. And while doing that, it boosts loyalty, because security is a very sticky solution. When the end user starts seeing consolidated reports, no matter how many times, the service protected me from that scam message or that from scam, phishing email, it builds trust with the CSP. It makes the service that you provide not a utility, rather it makes it like an entrenched partner. And lastly, it helps you add more lines and more subscribers to your base. So that's the promise of converged security and the value proposition it holds for you. Now we move on to the next section, where we have Stephen coming in and talking about the key findings. Stephen will share more about the methodology and the details, but we really wanted to test this out, and we want to ask all our customers and in different regions in the world, what do they think about convergence and specifically converged security and their thoughts. So to talk more about it, I'll hand it over to Stephen.
Thank you. Thanks, Vikram. It's always a pleasure to join the Allot webinars and also present some survey findings. So Vikram set me the task and the team late last year to go out to his customers and prospects and so forth and really understand trends and opinions and so forth about convergence and security. So I'm going to show you a snapshot of those findings. There's a more detailed report circulating. I'm sure the Allot team will be more than happy to present the full findings to you or issue the report. But for today, I'm just going to show some insights that really reinforce what we're talking about in this webinar. Before I go there, just to kind of show you who we surveyed. Oh, sorry, bit of a lag with the toggling. We contacted tier 1 CSPs in the United States, Canada, and Spain and Australia. And within those CSPs that offer both fixed and wireless services, we spoke to mostly senior product roles within those organizations. So ensuring that this topic is relevant to the target audience, and also some senior technical roles as well. So it's a very detailed survey, and I'm going to walk you through some of the top level findings. So let's start in interest in convergence solutions. And I think this really does corroborate Ed's and Vikram's conversation about this resurgence in convergence in general, especially over the last few years. And what we're seeing on screen is high levels of interest in all of these different types of convergence, specifically converged security. Now, that is quite a new, well, I say relatively new topic. So we're very careful with how we defined converged security just to make sure all the respondents understood what we were talking about. And given that the interest levels are as high as other converged solutions, shows that there is genuine interest in this particular product service offering. It's globally universal, as you can see, across the different countries and regions that we targeted. So high level of interest, which suggests that it's relevant to CSPs. Then we asked them what are your key criteria for converged solution for security products? And we can see that respondents have selected multiple different solutions and criteria. Those top three being they would like comprehensive threat detection capabilities, compatibility with integrating with existing security service offerings, and a product portfolio and future roadmap for security solutions. So they know what they want, and that backs up how interested the market is in these particular areas. We then asked them about what are the important building blocks for converged security solutions. Secure authentication or authorization, that comes up top. Again, that makes sense given the conversation that Ed and Vikram had earlier. And also this ability to access and manage across different device types, mobile, fixed, Internet of Things. Again, something we've already discussed here, and this really does show that respondents in CSPs are on point when it comes to this kind of stuff. They know what they want, and a unified threat management and reporting service as well. So we're seeing some really good cross-platform and monitoring solutions that they're really interested in knowing more about. And then we asked them about customer experience. So how is this going to impact their end customers? And it's incredible to see how high these percentages are when it comes to importance. If anything, it shows that CSPs really believe that this type of service is going to boost customer experience, as we can see, by ensuring consistent, robust security across all of the different devices. They've got transparency in terms of updates and patches, reducing the need for customer involvement in managing security. So that's very important as well, keeping it easy to manage and so forth, and also an easy setup and configuration. And we all know that when it comes to customer experience, if you manage to get it right, that does in turn convert into customer loyalty. So some really powerful stuff. The percentages are very high across all of these questions, which shows that CSPs are very engaged in this topic area. And finally, what are their plans? So does their company have a plan for converged solution initiatives, and when? And this is all looking at implementation plans. The data we're looking at is currently looking to implement now or in the next 3 months. And compared against all the converged solutions that we saw at the beginning, converged security has come up top. So it seems as though this trend is taking off. There's a high level of interest. The benefits are clear, especially when it comes to improving customer experience. And so, yeah, so we expect to see this trend gaining momentum, interest rising over the course of the coming months.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Stephen. You shared some really insightful thoughts there. I think this is a very interesting study. Because of the interest of time, we just shared a few of the key highlights. But if you're interested, we would be happy to share the detailed study that was done by Stephen and his team at Coleman Park. It is always great to have you here. Thank you so much, Stephen. Up next, we want to really dive into the mechanics. We talked about the opportunity, we talked about the challenges, we talked about how and when customers in the market are looking to deploy a solution such as Converged Security. And to simplify, convergence in very simple ways. I have different applications across fixed, mobile, and others. How do we make them simple? But the magic happens on the product side. For that, I have Angel. Angel, please take over.
Okay, thank you, Bikram. Okay, so in this section, we'll briefly walk you through the Allot security portfolio and how we managed to implement this convergence concept that we are discussing in this webinar. So this slide shows the overall security portfolio. When we build the security portfolio in Allot, we basically try to implement this concept of providing security for consumers and SMBs under this concept of security anytime, anywhere, on any device. And as such, we implemented a number of what we call enforcement products, which are the ones that are actually implementing security for the end user. These are the products that we show on this slide. So if I start from the left-hand side, Home Secure and Business Secure are security products to be deployed within the router that you can have in your household or your SMB. And they provide security from the router itself. So there is an agent that is deployed there, that is inspecting the traffic and decides when and how to apply the different security products for the users who are connected to this router. These are mostly applicable to a fixed line scenario where I have the router, even though in some cases we can extend that to a mobile network by means of this concept of the fixed wireless access. Then we have IoT Secure, Network Secure, and DNS Secure. These three products are to be deployed within the core of the network in the CSP. In the case of the IoT Secure, is specifically targeting IoT devices which are SIM enabled and as such have connectivity to the internet and are exposed to the threats on the internet. And then we have Network Secure and DNS Secure. In this case, the goal is the same, is to provide protection to the user by means of inspecting the traffic in two different flavors. Network Secure is deployed inline, and as such, it has the ability to process and see all the traffic from the user to the internet or from the internet to the user, and as such, apply security policies. DNS Secure follows the same concept, so it's designed in order to apply the security policies and protect the user, but in this case, only inspecting DNS traffic. The goal is the same, it's just a different type of implementation. When you look at these products, and as I mentioned in the beginning, those are what we call the enforcement products. It is the components of the solution that are actually inspecting the traffic and applying the security policies. And they can be deployed both in the fixed network or the mobile network. So we can just, for the sake of the example, we can choose a CSP, which has let's say a mobile network where we deploy Network Secure, and as such is protecting subscribers or users when they are connected to the mobile network. But they also have a fixed line network. where some of the routers, because of the capabilities of the routers, can support a home security implementation. So in those cases, we can deploy an agent in the router, and it will have visibility of all the traffic in the household to the internet, protecting the users. But there will be other routers that, because of technical limitations or because of business decision, we're not offering home security. So in that case, we can use DNS Secure to be deployed in the fixed network and provide protection to these fixed line users using the DNS Secure product. So in this particular example, we will have different products: network secure in the mobile and home secure and DNS in the fixed network, which are providing the security. How do we unify the experience? How do we create this convergence experience? For that purpose, we created a component, which is what we call the Allot Secure Manager. This is the umbrella that controls all the security products, and is the one that offers and creates this convergence experience. How does it work? From the CSP perspective, there will be an integration with the Allot Secure Manager, not with each one of the respective products. And as such, the CSP will instruct the Allot Secure Manager what to do, which products to provision, which accounts to be created in the system. So the CSP will say, this account needs to have these products: network secure, DNS secure, and home secure. Allot Secure Manager will be the one interacting individually with each one of these products in order to create the account, in order to create the specific CSP policies to be applied in each one of these products. And as such, from the CSP perspective, it was one single integration touch point. The same for reports. If I, as a CSP, I ask for one report on what's going on in my network, the Allot Secure Manager will connect to each one of these products, will consolidate that information, and will offer me one single consolidated information or report on what's going on in the network. But the most benefited person or individual in this case is the user. The user will have one single interface across all the security products. So I, as let's say, the member of a family, I'll be protected while I'm connected to my mobile network by the network secure, or while I'm in the fixed network at home by home secure or DNS secure. But it's still my single entry point into the whole system is the Allot Secure Manager. So I will create one single policy, and the Allot Secure Manager will be the one that will spread that policy across the different products. So when I'm connected to the mobile network, network secure will enforce that policy. When I'm connected in my Wi-Fi at home, home secure will do that enforcement. Again, for me, it's one single policy, one single configuration. I don't have the perspective of several products, the complexity of different products. For me, it's just one single interface. And the same when it goes to reports. If I want to report on what my little child did in the internet over the last month, I will talk to the Allot Secure Manager interface. This component will talk to the different enforcement points, will retrieve the information, and as such offer me one single consolidated report. So this is the beauty of the Allot Secure Manager, that is actually able to hide the complexity of different products and different networks, both from the CSP and the user. We drill down a little bit more into the ASM or the Allot Secure Manager. Is actually a component that, as I said, is unifying the experience for the CSP and the user for all the Allot Secure products, the ones I mentioned, as well as the endpoint. But it has the ability as well to integrate with some of the third-party technologies. So if you have already a security solution that you want to augment and add additional components from Allot, we can bring in the Allot Secure Manager, and as long as this third-party technology has an API that allows us to talk to that technology, we can integrate it into this framework. So still you will have this unified management, northbound for the user and the CSP, and the integration of additional third-party technologies will be completely transparent to you, because again, the only interface you'll be talking to is the Allot Secure Manager, and you will benefit from all the orchestration capabilities it has on all the resources it has, like the unified reporting, unified notification and monitoring, the ability to create accounts, a single API, the single sign-on, and so on and so forth. In the case of a particular integration with a CSP, there is this case that you have one integration already with the ASM, the Allot Secure Manager, but you decide to add additional components. There's still no changes on your side, because the API northbound on the Allot Secure Manager remains exactly the same. And this API can be either a REST API for an integration with your existing IT or billing systems or applications, or it can be just exposing to the end user or even the CSP, the existing web interfaces, for you to manage the service as needed. All these things I mentioned, let's just quickly have a video that summarizes everything and hopefully helps to settle the concept. So Vikram, if you can please.
This video, you will see how the Allot Secure Management Platform simplifies security and content filtering management for your consumer and SMB customers. Your customers know that cyber threats and inappropriate content can reach them from any network. They need easy-to-use protection that doesn't require multiple installations, configurations, and reporting interfaces. Sounds challenging? Well, not anymore. The Allot Secure Management Platform ensures that all Allot Secure network-based products deliver a unified experience for every connected device on both your fixed and mobile networks. It requires no installation and offers your customers a unified configuration and reporting interface for all devices to ensure consistent user experience. If you want to integrate this solution into your existing customer portal or app, you can do so easily with the Allot Secure Management APIs. And if you already have a third-party security solution, our team can help with its integration under the ASM umbrella to benefit from unified management. Protect your customers while offering them the peace of mind and ease of use they're looking for with Allot Secure Management. Allot. See, control, secure.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Angel. Really appreciate you walking us through. I hope everybody who's joined us online got a sense of the possibility, the opportunities which Convergence and the ASM delivers. Of course, I don't expect everyone to know each and everything about how you actually enable it. For that, we are always available. We'd be happy to sit down with you, understand what is your roadmap looks like, and how we can add value to that. But before we wrap up for the day, I want to make sure that we address some of the questions which were asked by the audience. So, Angel, there are a couple of questions that I already see that I want to position, I think, coming your way. First one was that could Allot's Converged solution be deployed only on-prem, or does it require all the data to be sent to some cloud server?
Okay, that's a very good question. Actually, from a technology standpoint, we do support both options. I mean, we can deploy the ASM on AWS as an example and use a public cloud in order to host the Allot Secure Manager. That's one of the technical options. The other option is to have the Allot Secure Manager and as well as the rest of the components deployed on-prem within the CSP. So again, from a technology point of view, both options are possible. To be fair, in most of the cases and most of our customers go for the on-prem option for several reasons. Like, I don't know, simplicity to connect to their IT or billing systems, which might be somehow legacy and do not have the ability to connect to a public cloud. In some other cases, because of, they want to keep any personal information related to their customers within their premises. But again, it's a choice, it's an open choice. They can choose both options as we are both supporting them.
Makes sense. I'll take another one. It's related to the previous question. It elaborates on that. The question is, does the convergence features, as we talked about today, they come with any Allot solution, or is it like an add-on when you get a specific solution?
Okay. Well, convergence is by nature or by design part of the Allot solution. So whenever you choose to deploy one of the security solutions in the portfolio, actually the Allot Secure Manager is part of the solution. So as an example, if you choose to deploy network security in your mobile network, the Allot Secure Manager will be there. You will perform the integration to the existing APIs for provisioning, management, whatever, and then you're set, you can launch the solution. And then day two, you decide that you want to expand to the mobile network by means of any of the other products, DNS Secure, Home Secure, IoT, whatever you want to go forward with it. This additional security enforcement point or product will connect to the existing Allot Secure Manager. So as such, convergence is there from day one. All the integrations that you did for the initial product, Network Secure, in terms of IT, billing, management, and so on, will stay there. No need to make any changes. So as such, convergence comes by nature or by design with the Allot products. Any additional products that you add will benefit from the existing already deployed convergence component.
Excellent. In the interest of time, I'll just take one last one. The question is that we already have an existing vendor, security vendors. Which vendors can Allot potentially work with or not work with?
Okay, I mean, there's no such thing as a list of yes and no's. I mean, we can work and integrate actually with any security vendor that exposes an API that we can work with. So it's just about to create the connector between the Allot Secure Manager to this third-party solution, and immediately it will benefit from all the orchestration capabilities in the Allot Secure Manager. We've done that many times. Just to mention or reference one example, Power DNS or OX is one of our partners that we integrated by means of this mechanism. But again, as long as there is an API that we can talk to, it's something that we can integrate. Of course, it will require the efforts and design, but it's something that can be done.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Angel. Really appreciate your time. Now, let me do a quick wrap up for our discussions today. Now, overall, what are some of the key summary or key takeaway points from our discussion today? First, when you look at convergence, you look at full suite of unified products and service and security products, something like we have, but as Angel just pointed out, if there's like an existing endpoint and they have APIs, we have done this previously, we can easily integrate and work with that. Second, Allot has a purpose-built data orchestrator, which makes Allot unique because this ASM empowers not just us, but you to truly work with us and not be dependent on a locked ecosystem. You, in the future, can add additional security products and services seamlessly and get the same benefits to the customers that we talked about. Third, all the product and services specifically in our portfolio, they are CSP focused, meaning we only work with CSPs or telcos. We do not work with the market directly. So for us, we only win when our partners, the telcos and CSPs, they win. And all our solutions are zero-touch solutions, most of them, except with the exception of endpoints that we integrate with. Lastly, a couple of 2 points. There's a huge demand for convergence-ready solutions. It's not that customers will ask, say, where's my converged security? They don't know that. As we know, they will address, this is very complicated. I want something simple, easy to use, and something which really works with my workflow. Rather than me picking and choosing, it doesn't matter to which network I am, I need to be protected. So this is where we see a huge demand, something that Stephen pointed out as well in his findings and the study they conducted. And finally, we have a ton of field experience launching these solutions with some of the leading CSPs in the world, and we'd love to speak to you, address your questions, and also make sure that we add value to whichever part of the, in your roadmap journey you are. With that, thank you once again, Stephen and Angel. We sum up our webinar today, but feel free to drop us an email, a message, and we'll be sure to get back to you. With that, everyone, have a wonderful day. Bye now.